Hi everyone. So let's talk about Clean and Marked by Olivie Blake. As you see, I went with some Slytherin eyes today. I hope you enjoy this. Let's get into it. Okay, so if I'm starting to sound like an Olivie Blake fangirl, it's because I am. Olivie Blake, between her fics and her published works, is becoming my favorite author. Her love and understanding of the Harry Potter world and her reverence and irreverence to it is just both impressive and astounding. The dialogue is perfection, her banter is sharp, her plots are beautifully crafted and paced, and her character work is stunning. Someone said in my comments recently that I seem to tend toward the fics where they're adults navigating their grown-up lives after the war, and I think that was an astute observation. Looking back, that is true in general. However, this one is a large exception to that rule. So if you, like me, tend to prefer the grown-up ones, don't let that one steer you away from Clean and Marked. They are really good. So these two fics go together, and there's no way you will finish Clean and not go right into Marked, but they are very different in scope and feel. And I will tell you right now, if you prefer light, fluffier Dramione, you might just want to read Clean and not Marked, because Marked is definitely darker. But like I said, I don't know that there's any way that you could finish Clean and not go right into it. So let's start with Clean. It's 6th year. Draco has just been given his task by Voldemort, and of course he is stressed and crumbling. His only goal is to protect his parents. He doesn't want to serve the Death Eaters, he doesn't want to serve Voldemort, but he feels he has no choice. And he can't talk about it with anyone for obvious reasons, so he's feeling very, very alone. Hermione is just living her 6th year life. Voldemort is on the horizon, and they're working slowly toward that, she and Harry and Ron. But she's still able to care about her schoolwork. She's kind of growing tired of Harry and Ron, always sort of leaning on her, not taking anything too seriously, not caring as much as she does. And also her relationship with Ron is proving to be really frustrating. She craves love. And while he loves her to an extent, things are moving at a glacial pace. And although there is some behavior on Ron's part that is bothersome, I want to be clear that these fics are not about Ron or Harry bashing, which was nice, especially after reading Apostasy. So Snape gives an assignment in potions class for them in pairs to create a potion which is meant to help someone who needs it. But wanting to shake things up, he pairs Draco and Hermione, of course, and they are both horrified. But as Draco realizes that this could be an opportunity to make a healing potion that could be useful, he selects this very difficult to brew healing potion and is resolved to do it. She, ever wanting to challenge herself and to be a good student, agrees. And obviously, because this is a fanfic, this potion has to be worked on daily and can only be brewed at night. Come on, you'd expect no less. Forced proximity, of course, has them sparring, bickering, and then chatting, amusing each other. It's all of the absolutely best Dramione stuff. She asks him to teach her occlumency. And during the lesson, she accidentally sees into his mind, which unexpectedly brings them closer. For Draco, it's like having someone actually see into the turmoil he's been dealing with. That alone just brings him to his knees, and they begin this physical relationship that is fraught at the beginning with interruptions and uncertainty and obvious hotness. I just bought this at Target. We'll see how it goes. So this is going to be hard to do because I don't want to give spoilers, but it'll be hard for me to talk about the plot of Marked without saying some things, so I'm going to try to be vague. So Hermione begins to help Draco with the tasks, both relieving him and also making life harder for him as she keeps reminding him that he's going to have to choose sides. And everything comes to a head on that specific night in the Astronomy Tower where she, Harry, Draco, and Ron all become inevitably and unbreakably bound together. So that is where Clean ends and Marked picks up. And like I said, if you prefer fluff to the darker stuff, you might want to end there. I feel like it ended satisfactorily enough, but of course I flew right into Marked. So Marked begins with Theo taking the Dark Mark and trying to prove himself to Voldemort in an attempt to find Draco, whom everyone believes to be dead. With Harry, Ron, Draco, and Hermione all still missing, both the Death Eaters and the Order are all in kind of disarray. So Marked then essentially covers the events of Book 7, but with Draco with the trio, on the run, camping out, searching for Horcruxes. I love any reimagining of the plot. I loved that in Isolation, and I like that in other fics. What I love so much about this one is it really, really gets really realistically focused on how not only Draco being there would have impacted the events, but how it changes the actual characters of the people involved. That was really, really amazing. So much of this one just gave me life. Draco forming a real bond with Harry was incredibly beautiful. Draco and Ron even begrudgingly form a relationship. Other relationships that I loved in this, Dudley has a surprisingly big role in this, and his relationship with Harry and the others, and later Dobby, it just made me gleeful. Also, Theo forms relationships in this fic with both Snape and Narcissa. His relationship with Snape, in fact, made me laugh a lot, but both of those relationships also brought me to tears. Snape and Narcissa providing the kind of parental figures that he just so desperately needs. And later, his relationship with Hermione was also everything. Like, it is clear that Olivie Blake loves Theo, and I love him, and I love her devotion to him. So as the events unfurl, things get darker, and the heroes are faced with darker and more difficult decisions, watching their morality hang on by threads as the war threatens to swallow them. So that's all I'm going to say about the plot of this. This fic leans heavily and respectfully on the canon and the established lore, which I appreciated, but you do kind of have to know that established lore and canon to kind of get everything. There is one device in this fic that I didn't at first love. In fact, I actually put this fic down for a bit because it was a bit crushing. But then I realized that was just my own emotions, and I pushed through, and I'm glad I did. And despite my not necessarily loving the turn of events, they made sense within the greater plot and character development. It kind of reminded me of Secrets and Masks. Like, I didn't love everything that was happening, but it all made sense. So Olivie Blake later wrote an epilogue that in her original author's note, she said she didn't feel was necessary. And while I agree that Marked ends on like a satisfactory note, the epilogue healed my broken heart. And I will say Marked is a happy ending. It is happy ever after. It's HEA. But still, I needed the epilogue. I don't recommend skipping it. Read it. While my Dramione TBR is already bursting at the seams like Hermione's beaded bag after a trip to the library, I have now added all, and there are many, of Olivie Blake's fics to my TBR. Also, I've stopped caring that people look at me weird when I talk about my love for this world. If you know, you know. If you've watched this video until now, I don't have to tell you. I love Draco and Hermione with every fiber of my being, in this life or any other. That's the end. I'll see you next time. Bye.